Wolfpack, what is going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street, rotostreetjournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves here with your Week 2 fantasy football rankings rundown. Whether you are 1-0, you killed it. Whether you are 0-1, you need to get on the board for that Week 2 win. We got you covered. The Wolf is going to go through all his rankings right here. I love talking about myself in the third person like that. I'm trying it out a little bit differently. Usually I kind of do the rankings live and set things. I want to just have my rankings set and just be able to kind of go through them quickly, talk about each player without having to think through the thought process. If you prefer the other way, if you like me pulling up the strength of schedule, you want to see me do it live, by all means, I'm open to feedback on how this goes. But this is going to be a different trial run here. And again, let me know your thoughts. And as always, get your questions on in live. I'm happy to answer any and all sit starts here as we go live, but we'll do those after the show. So that's all I got in terms of previews. If you don't mind giving us a thumbs up to help us get out to more people, shares, retweets, all that good stuff would be awesome and much appreciated. So thank you guys again for being here. Let's dive right into Week 2. Right at the top of my list, Kyler Murray. What a dominant performance there in Week 1. The leader in fantasy points as of right now for the early season, and gets Minnesota. A defense that did not look great against Joe Burrow. Their corners still are horrendous, bad secondary, but also a pretty competent offense that can put up points as well to keep this game close, keep the air under the ball. And even though the game wasn't close at all for the Cardinals there, they continue to pepper it. So I think either way, Murray's going to kill it, but especially if Minnesota can keep it close. I love him this week. And right at the top there with him, Pat Mahomes. This Baltimore defense is atrocious. That injury to Marlon Humphreys, that was just a season, completely game changer, complete facelift to this entire defense, and not for a good way. A facelift, I guess, suggest a positive. No, it was a complete deconstructive surgery, removing a option of that nature. So now that all the coverage shifts, you get a guy like Pat Mahomes. I mean, there's nothing left to say about his ability, his performances, but the guy is a monster. Number 2, those two in a tier by themselves here. I think he'll carve that defense up. Plus, similar to Kyler Murray, that game script should say competitive. Then you see my next tier: 3, Josh Allen; 4, Wilson; 5, Prescott; 6, Brady; 7, Herbert; 8, Rodgers; 9, Lamar; 10, Jalen Hurts. A pretty big tier, but those are like my locked in high upside QB1s. Any one of those guys I consider a threat to finish in the top 3 of quarterbacks this next week. Allen should be the favorite most weeks. I think he's going to belong in tier 1, but he just didn't look that as high quality as we saw last year. This offense was a little discombobulated, still very pass happy. Maybe that was more a product of the Steelers' defense. We'll find out. Miami's defense, though, looked pretty tough against the Pats this weekend. Well coached. They're going to be all over the place, but Allen has typically dominated them historically. Russell Wilson, though, 45% play action rate this week after barely using it at a 10% clip, and he is so damn dominant. We saw it, Tyler Lockett, that move on the safety, the moon bomb to him. It was amazing. Wilson is going to be cooking in the Shane Waldron offense. They took their foot off the gas a little bit. You had 3 first-half touchdowns, only 1 in the second half, only 4 touchdowns, though. That's where we're getting at. We're nitpicking. This guy's a beast in Tennessee. We just saw Kyler Murray, pick this defense apart. Big fan of Russell Wilson this week. Dak Prescott as well, leading the league right now in pass attempts, right where he left off last year. Rate of play, super high. They just lost DeMarcus Lawrence, so the defense should be even more atrocious this year than in years past. This year as well. So ultimately, a lot of shootouts coming for Dak Prescott, for the Chargers. So I like to target that game and anyone facing him. That's why Herbert's there at 7. I might even bump him over Tom Brady. Now, Brady looked great. He also gets Atlanta, the worst pass defense of last year, and did not look like they got any better this year. So I can't really bump Brady too far down, but Herbert could easily outscore him. As you can see, +2 on him, +3 on Prescott. I think that game is one of the best ones to target, certainly for DFS purposes as well. So love those guys. Aaron Rodgers, maybe this is where I should cut this tier at 7 and kind of have 8, 9, 10 in a tier of their own. But I still think Rodgers could end up being the number 3 quarterback this week, facing Detroit Monday Night Football. Does the guy have any sack in him? If so, he should light it up this week. Going against the Detroit defense, got bombed by San Fran, gets bombed routinely, gave up the most points other than the Falcons last year. Didn't look like they improved at all. So Rodgers should. This will be a very telling week for him, for Devante Adams, for this whole offense. If he can't get it done this week, you won't see him in my top 15, maybe even top 20 the rest of the year. I'm going to hate cut him in the leagues I have him. Should he not get it done against Detroit? We'll find out. Jackson, I don't know what to make of him. You can see -4 here for me. I'm a little bit lower on L. Jax. Kansas City should provide that shootout script, but it's still a pretty good pass defense. And Lamar just didn't, against a pretty bad secondary for the Raiders. I'd be shocked if they're that good. I think they're going to be a go down as a fluke defense. Mediocre was QB 20 last week. Didn't run it that much. I think the better days are to come. And certainly when he's dueling with Pat Mahomes, I think he's going to want to show that off. Still didn't love it though. I think he belongs below some of these gunslingers in shootout style scripts. I do think I might bump Russell Wilson ahead of Josh Allen. We'll see when I update. This is again my first draft. But Jalen Hurts, the next great Konami code. I loved him last week. Was +4 on him at QB6, and he ended up panning out for me big time. Think he's going to rock it all year. San Fran should be a tougher defense, but I mean, Jared Goff also just put up 28 fantasy points. Was the QB3 of the week against them. Jalen Hurts could do just as much damage. I think San Fran's one of the more overrated defenses of the year. I think this game could go back and forth all day and be one of the more exciting contests of week 2. Moving forward then, we got tier 3, your lower end QB1s. Matt Stafford might belong in the tier above. He looks like a seamless fit for this Sean McVay scheme. Was amazing off the play action. The deep bomb to Van Jefferson was a thing of beauty. Cooper Kupp and him, that rapport looked beautiful. I love Matthew Stafford, and Indy got bombed by Russ. I think Stafford could do the same. Another 2, 3, 4 touchdown day should be in the cards for him. Ryan Tannehill, I think that was a fluke. I expect much better days ahead, but at the end of the day, Todd Downing is a complete joke. I am a bit worried about him. I might bump him down a little bit lower. Burrow, yeah, Stafford is a tier above these guys. I might have to start a tier with 8, 9, 10. And I think Stafford's definitely a group above these guys. But I do like Burrow. Those weapons, Jamar Chase, sure looking like the real deal. Right back to that college form. Anybody that ignored the drops concerns and all that crap is really going to be handsomely paid out. The clear alpha there, allowing T. Higgins to thrive in a number 2 role. And Tyler Boyd, maybe the forgotten man, but as the 3, could do some damage. So I like Joey B. Kirk Cousins, I think Arizona, they're going to need to be chasing points. We saw what that did for Cousins. I think bad real-life quarterback, boring as all hell, but another 300-yard day, 2 to 3 touchdowns, probably in the cards. And Winston, 5 touchdowns. Now gets Carolina. Supposedly a worse secondary than Green Bay. We'll find out how that goes, though. I think Winston, especially if Carolina can keep any type of pace compared to what Packers put up, that pathetic game from Rodgers again, Winston could have another 3, 4 touchdown day. And then we get into this huge tier of QB2s. And I'll just read off the rankings. I'm not going to dive into each and every one as in depth as I'm going here. But Big Ben versus the Raiders, I think he could go great at 16. Bad first outing, but 17, we got Teddy Bridge. 18, Baker. 19, Tua. 20, Derek Carr. Facing Pittsburgh, I'm +6 there. I might want to adjust that. Tough Pittsburgh defense. But Carr, man, he's looking legit. 400 pass yards. Just not afraid to sling it downfield this last game. Waller, of course, a great safety blanket. So I loved what I saw there. I think Goff also a lot higher on +5 ECR. Just another script where he's going to have to be chasing points and go crazy against those Packers if Rodgers again has a spine. Big F, we'll find out. I think he will. I think he's going to bounce back. Lower, as you can see on Matt Ryan, that just didn't have a pulse, those Falcons. I'm not sure that's going to change. And Tampa Bay, one of the better defenses in the league. I might be a little too high, but then you look at who's below him. Garoppolo, Heineke, Mac Jones. Like, how low do you go with him? Garoppolo getting vultured at the goal line. Don't love that. Heineke, do like the rushing upside. 11 for 15 when he played last game. Pretty sneaky option. Thursday night action if you're desperate for a second QB streamer, but probably don't need to start him. And then Mac Jones. Thought the kid showed some real poise, some nice throws. His offense, 75 plays was encouraging, but they are going to want to win via the run. So a guy that I think has low fantasy upside, but significantly better real life wise. He might get a little bump down here. Not a fan of Trevor Lawrence this week and really all season. As a player, sure, he made some beautiful throws, but that Urban Meyer's offense is just atrocious. I don't expect that to change, certainly not against a Denver defense. That defense might be top 3 in the league, best secondary, in my opinion, in the league. I don't think Lawrence is doing anything this week. Zach Wilson, rookie quarterbacks against the Pats have struggled mightily, as have first-year coaches, so I'm not expecting too big of a game here. Apparently, I'm 3 spots higher than the ECR on him, but that's just because, Tyrod Taylor at Cleveland, no thanks. 25 for the rushing upside. I think Houston gets exposed this week, though. Yeah, had that huge game, but I'm not expecting much out of Taylor, out of this team. If they could prove me wrong, you do have the Konami upside, and he did go deep quite a few times to Brandon Cooks, but not a fan. Don't like Carson Wentz at all against that ferocious Rams secondary. Daniel Jones, not much else needs to be said. That guy is a complete joke. He somehow ended up, I believe, the QB9 this last week on rushing upside, or QB 14 rather, 21 fantasy points. Better clearly than 31, but I'm still not going there. And Andy Dalton, your last quarterback. You don't need anything more to say there. So that's my QB rankings. Again, let me know. As I want to keep reiterating, I'll go into the comments after the stream and cover every single sit-start question we get. But let's dive into now the week 2 running backs. And again, I also am open to, did you like this on Thursday? Did you prefer it on Tuesdays? I have my waiver wire show on Tuesday. I'm going to release my schedule after the show and show you guys so you can know when I'm going to be live. 7 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every single day. And then Sunday, 11 a.m. for the sit start, 7:30 p.m. for the post-game tailgate recap, early waiver look. That's our schedule this year, guys. Would love to have you for every single show and get your questions answered for every single one, as you guys know we do. So what we love about it is to answer you guys, be user-centric with you. Alrighty, Christian McCaffrey, tier of his own, doesn't need much explanation. New Orleans does have a good run D, the toughest last year, and they just stymied Aaron Jones, but you can't stop McCaffrey. Didn't score a touchdown, and he's still the number 1 running back. That hasn't happened in like 2 decades for fantasy. Dalvin Cook at Arizona, not a great run D. I think he's going to be just fine. Solid 17 points without scoring. I think we're going to get at least 1 touchdown this week. Kamara, what needs to be said at number 3. Carolina was one of the worst run Ds last year. I was expecting more against Green Bay, especially with the points they put up. I was a little concerned with the target share, but I think he's going to be fine moving forward. Now, Henry, do we panic? What was going on there? Pretty busty performance. What running back finish did he have by the end of the week? RB 30. Oof, that's tough. And probably even worse in half PPR formats because the guy doesn't catch. RB 20. Oh, he did have 3 catches. So that was maybe the one positive takeaway for Henry. I think against Seattle, they're going to get this offense going again. Tough first week for Todd Downing, but I expect them to be significantly better. Nick Chubb, though, maybe I bump him ahead. So many game script dependent. I got to buy low. Shut up. I can't get over the sell high Nick Chubbs. Yeah, he only played 53% of the snaps. Par for the course, specifically when you're facing a team like the freaking Chiefs. Obviously, they're going to be a little more pass happy, and yet the guy still put up an RB3 week, even on only 53% of the snaps. He's always been hyper efficient. I think anybody looking to nitpick him, everything has to be perfect for. Well, everything is perfect because the guy is so damn dominant. He fumbled too. That could have been an even higher finish. Love Nick Chubb, last year's worst run D in the league. I'm going to bump him up ahead of Henry the more I talk about this as we go. Aaron Jones, though, what a rebound situation. Detroit, he put up 40 against them at week 2 last year. Could see a total rebound of that nature for him, for Rodgers, for the entire offense. It's tricky to have mixing this low. I mean, the workhorse of all workhorses, 29 carries. What was the RB2 this last week with 23 points, 127 yards, receiving, 4 receptions, 33 touches, doing his best McCaffrey impression. Love the guy, looking like the best pick you could have made in round 2 should he stay healthy. Clearly the truth about him having no workload concerns. Love that. Tier 3, you go Eckler. Then 9 is Taylor, 10 Gibson, 11 Zeke, 12 Carson, 13 Montgomery, 14 Swift, and 15 Harris. Kind of like your lower end RB1s, but still acceptable RB1s. No doubt about it. And I'm lower on Harris, as you can see here, 15 -7. Not for any particular reason. The guy played 100% of the snaps, saw all the work, 100% of the touches, a great buy low in that sense, but didn't love the talent. I think they're going to attack the Raiders through their secondary over the air. So I like Harris, but it's more so about just liking these other names a little bit more right now than him. I think Eckler, that one target was a fluke against Dallas, a shootout scenario. Love him to see 5 receptions, get back on the horse there. Taylor, good involvement throughout the day, plenty of receiving usage. What did it end up being? 6 targets, 7 targets, 6 catches, 60 yards. So the rushing output, pretty ugly. And that's where he usually dominates. But it was a decent Seattle defense up front. They couldn't get much going. So the fact that he put up 15, finishes a top 60 running back without a touchdown, with a minimal running performance, tells you about that expanded role. Yes, Hines was also heavily involved, but you love to see that from Jonathan Taylor. Check down Wentz, full effect. Gibson, huge workload, 20 carries. I believe that was third in the league this last week. Gets a Giants defense middle of the pack, but should have a better game script to continue to pound out over them. Love the fact that McKissick barely saw the field, barely saw a target. So like him going forward. Zeke, 82% of the snaps. I know only 5 fantasy points, very discouraging, but I think that's a good rebound spot for the guy at the Chargers. Solid option. Good buy low right now if you can. Chris Carson, Tennessee. The only horse. I mean, he handled 15 of the 19 backfield touches this last week, 16 carries out of the 19 carries. Also saw 3 targets, 3 receptions. The true workhorse, and now Penny's hurt, gets a joke of a matchup versus Tennessee that got pummeled by Arizona in every facet of the game. He should get pummeled. Yeah, he's going to roll. He had a great game, just fumbled it, didn't find the end zone, so only meager 11 points. Many of those weeks are going to be 17, 20, and I think that starts this week with Tennessee. And Montgomery starts where he picked up. He looked so damn good against a tough Rams defense. Has to be in your top 15, has to be considered an RB1. Swift as well, the leader in fantasy points per touch, showed why. So electric with the ball. Loved everything I saw from him. Now you got Miles Sanders in tier 4. He's like your high-end RB2s, mid-range RB2s. I'm going to probably cut this tier. I think it's a little too loaded here. I'll probably cut this tier right around the Gaskin area. So like a mid-tier. That's kind of what happens with running back. Like low-end RB1s become mid-grade RB2s. But Sanders is right on that cusp of hitting the RB1 tiers. Now, he did pop up as questionable today. Not sure why. What's going on there? Let's see if there's any news about that. Nope, just his game performance. He looked awesome. Over 100 total yards, as you can see here, 5 targets. Weirdly pulled at the stripe for Gainwell. Don't think that's going to continue, though. So I love him. Decent I mean, San Fran gave it the most points to running backs. I don't think that's going to be a trend. They were the 7th fewest last year, but Detroit just attacks, and that's why I'm so high on Swift and a little bit higher on Jamal Williams at +3 ECR here. But Edwards-Helaire, played all the touches, saw 14 and 15 touches, played 75% of snaps. Encouraging usage, but I wonder if he'll still ever get over those goal line woes, given how cute they get. We saw it again. Henderson was one of these stories. I was down on him coming into the year, and as long as he's healthy, I think I was wrong about that. Played almost every snap, 1 carry for Sony Michelle. Darrell Henderson also got the goal line look, plunged in for it. Love to see it for his value. I faded him. Probably a mistake unless he gets hurt at this point. But against Indy, no real concerns. Good up front, but I still think this line, all the continuity, they're going to be great. Kareem Hunt had a big performance this week. I think he takes a little bit of a back seat. 16 fantasy points, RB 13. So damn talented and still going to be involved as a receiver, but how much are they going to need him to be involved as a receiver? My answer is probably not much against Houston. I think they're going to roll in a big rebound spot for the Chiefs. Gaskin, by far the best back there, created you over 25 yards on his own after contact, where he was at 0 for Ahmed and Malcolm Brown. You got to hope they wake up and just start feeding this guy. I love him. I thought Tyson Williams looked amazing. I still question, why did Latavius Murray get a lot of work? Not sure. Lower on Damien Harris. Worried about him being in the doghouse and getting benched late in this game. I might even go lower on him. I wouldn't be shocked to see J.J. Taylor kind of get a ton of work this game, get activated after not being a healthy scratch last week, and just them seeing, how does this kid roll? Benching Ramondre, benching Damien. I'd be nervous. I'm going to keep reading the signs there, but going to be lower on him this week. I'm going to bump Chase Edmonds ahead of him. Minnesota, not a great run D, not a great defense in general. Edmonds was heavily involved in every facet of the game, even during a blowout, so I love that. And yeah, Jacobs was a goal line monster. Had a great week, but he hadn't finished like RB6 on the week, I believe, RB11, thanks to 2 touchdowns. But look at that yardage. Does that not spook you? 34, 2 targets, 1 reception, 6 yards. He fell his ass in the end zone a couple times. I think that was a lucky finish. If he doesn't fall his ass in the end zone, he would have had like 5 points. And I think that could happen this week against Pittsburgh, a much stiffer defense than what Baltimore is rolling out. I do like Elijah Mitchell. I think I'm going to bump him up a little bit here in these rankings. Big fan of his game. I am worried. Could it be the Sermon game? Absolutely. Shanahanigans has to worry you guys out. But ultimately, if you blew your fab on him, you probably want to keep him rolling. Saquon, as you can see, the lowest I am on pretty much anybody here. Won't be rolling him out Thursday night unless you truly have no other options. Didn't look great. Offense obviously looked horrible. And until he's getting that full workload and this offense is clicking at a better pace, I think he needs to be on benches until further notice. And then you round out the rankings. I'm not going to go into all these guys, but I'll tell you the rankings. 28, Jamal Williams. 29, Devante. A little bit nervous, but Jacksonville, if there's ever a get-right spot, he saw good work, just didn't really pop any like Melvin Gordon did. So Gordon getting the start, preferred guy. Didn't like what Latavius was showing, outgained by Cordarrelle Patterson on the ground. Now it's a stiffer Tampa Bay defense. He should be on your bench if you have any type of option. James Robinson as well at 32. I wish he was top 15. He should be top 15, but getting outstarted by Carlos Hyde. What is going on with that? Devin Singletary probably a bit more intriguing than I have him ranked here against Miami. Finished with 8 points. So nothing special, but James Robinson certainly wasn't it. So 10 fantasy points, RB28. I think I'm going to bump him up a little bit, given that came in a tough Pittsburgh matchup. It's a little bit of an easier matchup with Miami that gave up just 100 yards last week to Damien Harris. I think Singletary could have a decent day there. Ronald Jones getting the start at Atlanta. I'm +4. I'm usually very low on Ronald Jones, but I think Aaron's going to try to get this guy going. If he's starting him, he's certainly trying to give him a chance. Now, if he fumbles it, that's the risk. But this is typically what happens with Jones. Once he gets his rebound spots, he gets all jacked up and has a big 122 touchdown day. Be intrigued. I think I'm going to bump him here. I might even open the rankings tool and start bumping these guys up because this was the first draft. I think he belongs maybe right around this Hines tier right there. I'm a bit higher on Hines, but I think they're going to have to throw a ton. They're not going to want to attack this team through the gut. And as you saw, RB21 this week, 8 targets, 6 catches, still a very big role there. And these are really round out the last of the usable guys. I really like streaming James White this week, especially if I'm lower on Harris. I could see them turning to J.J. Taylor and then James White now. Will they need to throw a lot against the Jets? Probably not, but he's by far the safest option, and right now that might be what Belichick ends up rolling with. I think he could definitely get you some streaming value. Connor, it's great 16 carries, but didn't fall into the end zone. Murray's that goal line back. I'm worried he's just going to kind of be a blob all year. But Mark Ingram, 26 carries, led the second most of the league, maybe even the most actually this last week. 3.3 yards per carry, didn't do anything special. But volume is volume. I think he's still going to see it, but in a negative game script against Cleveland, that was everything working right for him. And then as you can see here, Fournette, Hyde, Dillon, Gainwell, Drake, Murray. Hopefully this early, you don't need to stream these guys. The most intriguing +7 here with Trey Sermon. He's going to get the call up, and I would not be shocked if he was in the doghouse for a week and suddenly just got plastered with carries coming up this week. So he's probably the most intriguing name here of this list, a guy that could go for, 90 in a TD. He offers that upside, in my opinion. So that's the running backs. Again, let me know what questions you have there. We move on now to wide receivers. Reminder, just get those questions on in. I will answer them all. We got a nice 15 or so far. Love it, but let's get that up to your 30. I want to answer all your questions, guys. Get them on in here. And remember, thumbs up is the easiest, freest way to help us out, to get out to more people. Would be very appreciated, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope. Help us get out to more people, retweets, drop in fantasy groups, whatever you could do to help support the site. It would mean the world. Tyreek Hill, no-brainer at number 1. I mean, if you saw this Baltimore defense is horrendous. We're getting deep on them from the Raiders. Tyreek Hill's going to have a field day. Anybody nervous about Baltimore is just not recognizing how bad this secondary is. Devante Adams, though, against Detroit, it's going to be one of those two. Just goes berserk. This is where he has his 30-point days. This is where he reminds you why he was a first-rounder. Number 3, Hopkins. If it wasn't for those two guys being in such great spots, Hopkins has every case to be number 1. Minnesota, not a bad matchup at all. I think he had a big comeback, did you all forget about me type of game, and he continues to pound and digs. I mean, I didn't have the most inspiring effort against Pittsburgh, but still 14 targets, as you can see, massive target share. Those will start to convert, certainly in an easier matchup here against Miami. Moving forward from there, DK Metcalf, Tennessee, just a cake matchup. As you can see, Lockett there at 12. Love them both. Lockett might even need a bump up compared to where I have him. Keenan Allen versus Dallas. That game's going to shoot out. I think he gets loaded with looks. And on the other end of that, Amari Cooper. Was he the wide receiver 1 right now? He was the wide receiver 1 all last year with Dak. Yep, 32 fantasy points. Consistently gets ranked outside the top 12. I don't get it. I'm +3 on this guy. How is he not well within the top 10? Belongs potentially in this tier with these elite guys. Love him. Absolutely love him. Justin Jefferson should have no problem dominating Arizona's corners. They are so – I don't know how Julio Jones and A.J. Brown didn't kill these guys Justin Jefferson might slap them around and show what we were all expecting. Calvin Ridley might need even a further bump down until further notice. A good Tampa Bay defense. And they did get bombed by Dallas, but I did not like anything I saw from Matt Ryan, this awful Falcons offense. Nervous about Ridley, even though he's a vacuum that first drive. What happened? Why'd they take their foot off the gas? Why'd they stop the no huddle? It was clearly working. Not sure, but we'll find out. I love Allen Robinson to rebound big. The Rams are the toughest matchups for wide receivers, and now he gets Cincy. Not a tough matchup at all. You get the Andy Dalton revenge narrative. Woo. But hopefully that means just he actually get Justin Fields out here on the field. I cannot wait to see what those two do. I think he bounces back in a big way. Still saw 11 targets. I think he'll see those 11 plus targets, but then this time actually be able to convert on them significantly better. A.J. Brown, I don't know what to make of this Titans team. A little bit nervous, but there's only so far down you could put a talent like A.J. Brown that could go for 40 any given week. So that's like your, game changers, what can win you your week alone. These guys have that upside too, but like more so low, wide receiver ones. And these guys, if you have them as your wide receiver one, like, okay, pretty solid. Maybe I'm too low on CeeDee Lamb, 16 targets, the most expected fantasy points of all receivers last week. Might need a bump up, but I still think Cooper's the hog there. Tyler Lockett against Tennessee, meanwhile, is going to go deep, going to smack those guys around. So big fan of him, big fan of Thielen in that red zone upside in a game that I think is going to be plastered with points. Kupp not far behind. Love his rapport that he has forged over there with Matty Stafford. Chris Godwin also. I think him and Antonio Brown might be the guys to own there for that offense with the Bucs. You're facing Atlanta, so all three have narratives that they could go off, but they run the routes. They're the rub routes, the flanker, the slot. Those are the guys that get targeted from Tom Brady, not the X like Mike Evans. Sadly, the guy that I own, Brady thrives on separation. He wants you to be open. He wants to see grass in front of you. And Evans' role just isn't that. He needs a Jameis Winston style gunslinger that lets him just go up and get it, that throws it to him even when he's covered. Atlanta probably won't be covering him, and that's why Evans can't be much lower. He's due for a 25-point blow-up after last week's 3-point effort. But yeah, AB can't be on benches. Godwin can't be on benches, and neither can Evans. You need all three of them in there. Debo Samuel coming off the most air yards, more than all 7 games he played last year combined in this last week. What was his final output? I think it was the wide receiver 2. Wide receiver 3, 189, 9 catches, 12 targets, and a TD. Whew, what an absolute beast. And with Ayuk still, who knows what's going on there. I think the good times continue to roll for Debo Samuel. Have him in your top 20. Make sure he's in your lineups. Definitely. Deontay Johnson, not much needs to be said. Always the clear-cut target hog. What he ended with, like 12? Only 10, but he did miss a little bit of time in that game. Got the end zone look. I think we see a much better effort from him. Woods could also rebound big against Indy. We saw how Lockett did it to them. That's kind of the role I think he plays. Woods in the Shane Waldron attack. I could see him getting deep on that Indy defense. T. Higgins as well. Jamar Chase and Higgins, love them both, but give me the alpha Jamar Chase above Higgins. I'm going to flip that. It's a little bit out of line with the expert consensus. DJ Moore, as you can see, lower than him, than the ECR -5. It's just such a tough offense, week to week. Is it going to be enough passing volume? Only 8 targets, 6 catches, like an okay day, but I think he remains one of the more overrated guys, not because of his talent, but because of his role in this offense. I think Williams could easily outscore him in a shootout game against Dallas. 12 targets, thriving in that X role, one of the bigger risers of the week. Julio Jones, one of the bigger fallers of the week, but I think he can recover and bounce back decently this week. But if you want to play Corey Davis ahead of him, wouldn't hate it. 28th on the list here, as these are like your high-end wide receiver 2s and elite wide receiver 3s. New England, tougher matchup, but with no Stephon Gilmore, there's nobody that's overly threatening for Corey Davis that he can't beat on that New England side of the ball. And Claypool always offering just huge blow-up potential. What did he see in terms of usage this week? Only 5 targets, pretty concerning. I might need to bump him down, but I think against the Raiders, that's the type of effort where he just goes crazy. And then, rounding out the wide receiver 3 usable guys, Cooks, Landry, higher, +4 ECR. Until Odell Beckham returns, I think he's going to dominate, and Houston has no one that can run with him. I don't mean run with him. This guy's got no speed, but in terms of covering him in the shift, you guys know what I mean. Robbie Anderson, boom bust. Could go deep, could suck. Devonta Smith, loved what I saw from him, but still, as San Fran, they were getting open at will. The lines were. So maybe I'm a little too low here at -3 ECR. Cortland Sutton against the Jags. Get right spot for him with no Jerry Jeudy. Horrible secondary. I think he needs to be higher than what I have him. So I'm going to kind of shake up this tier a little bit, but I do love Jacoby Myers at the Jets. Destroyed those guys last year, and he destroys them yet again. Was the clear number 1 moving the chains. slot receiving guy, and that's what always kills it in this offense. Then to round out these wide receivers, Callaway, +4. Got the Jair Alexander treatment, but I'm putting him right back in lineups. At least unless I have 3 of those top 36 guys, I'm going to have no problem putting Callaway back in there. Chenault, Brown. I really liked what I saw from Marquise Brown. What was it, 13 targets did he end up with on the day? Only 6. Oh, never mind. I'm a little off there, but he hauled in all 6 of them, scored 69 yards, had a nice gear to him. Lily was flying. +5 on Cole Beasley. Really like him. Shepard pacing the team in yards, targets, all that good stuff. As a waiver wire guy this week, could be right back in your lineup. Love what Waddle showed, but don't overlook the fact that Will Fuller will be back. As you can see, I have him +18. Might even bump him up further. Back from his suspension this week. Who knows how targets are going to shake out once he's back. So between him, Parker, Waddle, one of them is probably going to blow up. I can't see this offense with Tua sustaining multiple of them. And then you got Mooney. I think he rebounds big time this week. Was on the field for all the snaps. Tough defense last week, but against Cincinnati, I think that offense can show a bit more, especially if they turn it over at some point. And then from here, I just want to point out Cedric Wilson, a great Hail Mary this week, +22 ECR on him. Just going to slide right into that Gallup role, one of the pass-happiest attacks in the NFL. Think he is a great streaming option, certainly better than Henry Ruggs, if any of you are relying on him. I'm worried to go into the Pascal to the Pittman, like against Allen Robinson got shut down. You really think Pittman can do anything against this defense? Love KJ Hamler, though. I do want to point out Tim Patrick as a streamer. I mean, he was so steady and consistent last year, more 100-yard games than Judy. I think he could definitely be in lineups. But if you want the blow-up potential in that game, Hamler dropped a 50-yard touchdown. I think he is so undervalued. As we saw the explosiveness in the preseason. Plus, he's great at the stripes. So just a couple later-round receivers to throw out there for you. Let's move on to tight ends. We'll get to defenses, and then we got up to 25 questions now. Love it. Continue to get more in, guys. I'll get to all your sit starts, questions, anything you guys got for me. Kelsey, tier alone. I mean, maybe Waller, 19 targets, is pushing to be in that tier. I still think Kelsey's the guy. We just saw what Waller did to Baltimore. Kelsey's going to do that to him too. Pittsburgh, a tougher defense, and that I think many weeks Waller should belong in that tier. But against Pittsburgh, a little less certain there. Hawkinson, oh, good Lord, with this guy. I mean, what a beast he was. 10 targets, 8 catches, 97 in the TD there, 22, the tight end 3. I've seen a lot of should go ahead of Kittle now, and I don't even hate it. And certainly this week, I'm ranking him that way. I had him so high in my early season big board, and then after the injury, I bumped him down below Pitts. I kind of bit, but man, I own him everywhere because he's falling around 6, and I just love what I saw. Gronk, though, easy to be +4 against him with this matchup, with the just monstrous performance. 8 targets, 8 catches, 90 yards, 2 TDs, the number 1 tight end last week, and I'm 4 spots higher than the ECR, even though I only have him at 5. That wasn't a fluke. He looked great. He's going to remain great all year. Top 5 pretty much every week for me moving forward. Maybe I'm too low. Maybe he belongs in this Kittle Hawkinson tier. Easy to rank this high. Logan Thomas against the Giants. Thursday night, what else has to be said? Got a touchdown from Heineke right when he came in. QB proof, big body, love him. Pitts, the usage was all there. Split out wide in the slot everywhere, moved all over the place. The offense just wasn't there to back him up, and that's going to be a concern. I'm not sure it's going to be there this year, and I'm a little bit lower. I'm a little bit skeptical of Mark Andrews only seeing 5 targets. They clearly needed somebody to step up, and he didn't. Is he the next Zach Ertz? 4 fantasy points, 10-33. I'm lower than the ECR in him. And then we move into the remaining tight end ones. Fant, nearly 20% target share, now gets Jacksonville. Solid bet to have a big day there. Tunyon, awful game, but now gets Detroit. Easy get-right spot for him. So I think he could rebound in a big way. Higbee, though, what great usage. Every snap, essentially, ran a route on almost every drop back. And had an okay day. Wasn't crazy. What was it, 68 yards on 5 catches? Yeah, 5 catches, 68, but 6 targets. We're second on the team. Finished tight end 9 because of that. Indy's a tougher matchup. Good linebackers, especially in coverage, but still. Loved what John O. Smith did. Had a big play called back. Looked great from a Patriots fan perspective. And against the Jets, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see him find the end zone. Dallas Goedert's a guy I'm just going to consistently be lower on. I know he had a solid week because he ended up finding the end zone on a beautiful dart from Jalen Hurts. But Ertz is still there. Ertz is still way too involved on the weeks that he doesn't find the end zone. Going to be tough. And that's pretty much the case for most tight ends. But I think, he's going to be just tough to trust as a top 10 guy, which he's ranked as. Not for me. Then you move on. Jared Cook, love that he saw 8 targets. Love that's going to be a shootout against Dallas. He probably belongs actually in this tier of like the last tight end ones. Everett showed a nice red zone report, catching that touchdown. Didn't do much else, but Tennessee, awful defense, a good play here. Komet, 55 snaps compared to 17 for Graham. That's exactly what you wanted to see. That's beautiful. Gesicki, exactly opposite of what you want to see. A complete zero. Nothing. Did he exist? I don't know. But he had such a good rapport with Tua last year. I think that can get fixed. And then you get into the flyer range. And if I'm taking a flyer, why not make it Juwan Johnson? 2 touchdowns last week on only 3 targets. Only ran about 15 routes. So, I get the whole logic behind the usage was with Troutman. He ran more routes. He saw a 20% target share. He's the guy moving forward. But I want the guy that actually gets it done. And Juwan Johnson had a clear rapport with Jameis Winston in that red zone. And I don't think that's going to be a fluke. That was the report all summer long. So if I have to take a flyer on tight end, I love the guy that's wide receiver, tight end eligible, like low key, Marquise Colston reborn. Potentially, no, he's not going to be involved enough. But I wouldn't be shocked to see his role continue to skyrocket. And if I'm going for a flyer that's widely available, make it him. I like him. Let me just see how involved was Zach Ertz. 2 targets, so I guess it's not that involved. Maybe I need to reconsider Goddard, but I don't know. He was still running a ton of routes. I still think he's going to nibble cheese, as do Dalton Schultz. Why couldn't Schultz and Jarwin be one person? They both had mediocre days. If they were just one guy, you'd be looking at 15 tight end points each and every week. I had the running back ranking. I haven't been moving through these. Whoops, my bad. I'm sure there's a bunch of comments about that. But let's move on to the defense and kicker rankings. It's tough to rank anybody at number 1 besides Washington football team facing awful Daniel Jones. He'll turn it over. They'll get a touchdown. But Rams against the Indy, solid matchup. Broncos and Jacksonville, though, that might be my number 2 matchup, actually. Come to think about it. You got to love that. Patriots against, as we were saying earlier, it's on the road, sure, but Belichick against rookie quarterbacks has always been special. The Bucs, though, facing Atlanta, beautiful. Steelers and then Houston, Cleveland against Houston. You saw them a lot of waiver wires because they faced KC, great streamers. But let's get into the guys that might actually be available for you. Saints were out there in almost all the leagues as of this morning. Think Darnold, he had a decent fantasy day, but wasn't impressed. Did not love what I saw from this guy, but was very impressed with what the Saints were doing on defense with no secondary, still locking down Aaron Rodgers. I really like the Saints. I do like the Giants as well against Washington, against Heineke. I do think their defense is significantly better than their offense. Packers against Detroit are a very popular stream. I don't love that defense, and I think Detroit on offense, they might turn the ball over a few times, sure, but they're going to put up points. San Fran last week, what did they end up with? 10 points. Oh, yeah, they had the TD. But if they don't score that TD, and maybe that's going to become a norm, I don't know. They would have been nothing. They would have been a negative point, potentially. So, I don't know. I think the defense for the 49ers is a little overrated. I think Philly's going to bomb them, so I'm certainly lower on them as a unit. And I think the Packers is a scary stream, in my opinion. I'd rather have the Cardinals. And even though I think Cousins can put up his points, that Cardinals D can get after the passer. No left tackle, no Darashaw there for the Vikings. And then if you're getting really desperate, I don't hate the Seahawks against Tennessee. I think awful. The defense looked good for the Seahawks, and awful play calling from Downing. Could that continue? But you should be able to find a streamer from that range. And last but not least, everybody's favorite, the kickers. Butker, Tucker, Gay, Suckup, Gould, Prater. Great legs and good offenses. Not much else needs to be said there. I wish I could be higher on Young Wei, Koo, but ultimately this offense looked atrocious. I need to see them. I don't like Myers. I think that's actually too high for him. I'm already -2. They just score touchdowns. Myers is bugaboo all year. I like more so Crosby, Sanders. So just taking some notes. I'll be updating those guys a little bit later. In terms of streamers, though, Nick Folk, the kicker 4, I believe, in fantasy right now. Oh, 10? That's I think there's a ton of guys with 11. So he's tied with a bunch of guys in 4th with those 11 points. I do like McManus. That's a big leg on an offense with Teddy Bridgewater. We saw what it did for Joey Sly. And I like Joey Sly, but not this week against Cleveland. And that's it. That's all we really need to cover here for the rankings rundown. So let's get all in. Looks like we got 35 of you guys asking questions here. And that's probably what we all want anyways. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this. As we get into the questions, if you don't mind giving this a thumbs up, let me some feedback too. Those of you guys that are here for most of these, did you like this format better where I have the rankings kind of done and can dig into each player rather than ranking them and looking at the strength of schedule and going back and forth? Did you like this? Did you prefer this format, or do you like it the other way? Do you prefer it on Tuesdays? I'm always more than agreeable to working things around. But again, thumbs up, YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, wherever you're at. Let's get on now to your questions. Prepared ahead of time is better for most people. Love it. Thanks for that feedback, Motor City. Wednesday, Wolf, nothing better. Got outbid on Gronk. Brutal, but I'd rather go Jared Cook at tight end. I do like the upside of Juwan Johnson, but ultimately, Jared Cook, 8 targets from great Justin Herbert. I'm a big fan. And against Dallas this week should easily. You saw what Gronk just did. Not that Jared Cook could do that too, but maybe you could find the end zone once, maybe twice. Should I pick up Marquez? We got Let's Go from Motor City. Absolutely. Let's go, my man. Boss Man Fat. What up? Strange name, but welcome. Should I pick up Marquez Callaway for Beasley? I think there's a lot more upside to Callaway, but Beasley's got a significantly higher floor. 13 targets this last week, right, Boss Man Fat? So that really depends on, is this a guy on your bench that you're just trying to see? Because we know what Beasley is. Probably going to get 6 catches, probably going to have, 70-ish yards. There's a good place for that if you need to rely on somebody. If you're just trying to stash and see what happens, Callaway brings more upside, in my opinion. Omar, 9-2 of 11 leagues. I love to hear that. A true Wolf, guy that I love interacting with daily. You're the man, Omar. Are you blindly playing Elijah Mitchell where you get him, or are you expecting shenanigans? I think it depends on your lineup. I'm not ruling out shenanigans. Let's put it that way. If Sherman has 15, 20 carries, if frickin' Hasty has it, the fact that Elijah Mitchell had 19 carries is exactly why you got to be nervous about starting Elijah Mitchell. That being said, he looked good. He's probably going to be the first man up because why wouldn't he be? But again, why wouldn't Trey Sermon have been active? We didn't know anything heading into the game. What if Sermon has an amazing week of practice and now he's the guy? So yeah, I'd be a little bit nervous. As you saw, I had him about 26, so I'm not going all in. But if you paid that money to go get the guy, there's a good chance you have to put him in your lineup anyways. Your flex at your RB2, most likely playing him. What up, Silence? Joshua Grayson, would you keep Marvin Jones or Jacoby Myers? I'm considering dropping them for Cole Kmet. I have Pitts as my tight end 1. I don't know that I want to drop either of those. When you have Kyle Pitts, you made that investment. I don't think you need Cole Kmet. I'd rather keep Marvin Jones, Myers, and just throw a dart in week 6. We'll find out in week 6. We'll do a week 6 ranking show, obviously, Josh. We can figure out a good dart for you there. I don't want to drop Jones or Myers. I love them both moving forward. It is going to be slim picking. I guess as you say here, you're stacked at receiver, Allen, Godwin, Corey Davis. Figured keep one of them, but scoop up Jones. So if you really want to drop one, I think I'd prefer dropping Jones. I think Myers has the higher ceiling as that slot guy for the Pats, even though Jones has the better upside week to week. I think Myers would be steadier, but ultimately, I don't think I'm going to drop either of those guys. What up, 909 Orbits? Great to see you, man. Flex 1 PPR, Visca, Callaway, Watkins, Singletary. I'm leaning Visca here. Very encouraged by the usage, at least early on in that game. I don't know, though. Callaway, I think, could be in for a big rebound effort. He looked so good this preseason. I'm not holding a Jair Alexander shutdown against him. I'm going Callaway with this one, 909. I have Callaway 37, Chenault 39. Angel, Wolfie. What's going on, brother? Is it Angel? Is it Angel? Angel? I want to make sure I get your name right. I'm horrible with pronunciations, though, so I apologize in advance, but great to see you. Been seeing you tune into a lot of the shows, and I appreciate that, man. What's up, Dylan? What's going on? Gaskin and Jamal Williams in my flex PPR. I'm going to lean Gaskin there. I loved how great this offense looked for running backs, but I think this is like the sell Williams as fast as you can. I don't think he's going to continue to see that work. I think it's just going to be up for Swift and down for Jamal Williams. So I'd be selling him as fast as I could. I think he'll still have a role. So if you need him, you can keep him, but I'd go with Gaskin. Thoughts on McLaurin this year now? He's been QB proof in the past, so I'm not overly concerned. The catch he made, the guy's still a top 15 receiver, top 10, fantasy-wise, top 10 probably talent-wise. So I'm still a big fan of Terry. No doubt with me. Omar. Would you drop Lat Murray to pick up Ronald Jones? Someone hate cut him? Yeah, I would. I'm not sprinting to get Ronald Jones either. I think he could have a big week this week, but it's just going to be such a roller coaster week to week. Thoughts on Mooney and Latavius this week? Ideally, don't have to require any of them in the lineup, is my opinion there, Dylan. I'd like to see what happens with Mooney first. I like the work Murray got, but I thought Tyson looked significantly better. As long as he's shown better in pass protection this week, I don't think they wanted to put Murray in. I don't know why they did that, to be honest. I don't want to trust either. Murray just didn't look that good, in my opinion. Devonta, Higgins, Tyson Williams in the flex. I'm going Higgins there. Angel. I don't know that I like trusting Tyson for the exact reason I said. Why did he not play much in the second half despite clearly looking better? Do love me some Devonta Smith as well, but I love Higgins even more. So what's up with Trey Sermon and Brandon Ayuk? I wish I could tell you, Prebs. Awful. I would say neither are cuts yet. I want to see what happens, especially this week. But that came out of left field, and I wish there was reporting on that. We would have had it covered. But, yeah, I don't like that. We got extra hyper with a question. Justin Jefferson for Calvin Ridley. I'd rather have Justin Jefferson myself, as Omar says here. I'm benching Barkley this week, not going through what happened. I agree with you. I'm benching him too. I have him pretty low. I had Sony Michelle starting. Ooh, that's tough. He's learning the playbook. That was a tough start there. You must have had pretty tough options there. Extra hyper. I think he's a hold still. I want to cut him. I want to see how he evolves once he does have a few weeks under his belt. But after week 3, if he's still clearly like that far away from Darrell Henderson and Henderson hasn't gotten hurt, that's the kind of the rub with him. Sony could be an easy cut in a week or two, but I'd like to see it. Had Ayuk drop a goose egg, brutal. Still second highest points. That's pretty awesome. Is Ayuk droppable? No. I think he's just saying this stuff to motivate him. Now, it could be the next Dante Pettis, late season blowout that just disappears. Not saying that's not an option, Tunes, but I don't think that's going to be the case. He's too damn talented. I'd hold. Would you drop Boyd or Shenault for Landry? I'd drop Shenault for him. I'd drop either of these guys, to be honest. I think Landry is certainly more usable till Odell's back, at least. I like Landry more than either of those guys. Probably Shenault. Maybe Boyd. He's going to clear third fiddle there. William, need help desperately. Well, here I am, but I'm going to grab a sip of water first. Getting that raspy voice going. So, William, Tunyon and Cook is your tight ends. I don't know that you have to be that desperate. You're interested in Fant and Pitts. Was offered Fant for Cook and Sutton. Should I accept this? I think that's way too much for Fant. I think Sutton's, especially with Judy out, is significantly better, even straight up wise. I wouldn't toss him Cook. I think you're good with Cook. Like he's a good option. I don't think you're as desperate as you think you are there. William, oops, jumped ahead by accident. Let me get back to you. J-Rock 17. I have 2 2022 firsts. Oh, I love that. Should I trade one for AB and 2 2022 seconds? Maybe. Like, what's your position here, J-Rock? Like, you're going to go and get this title if you do something like that? If so, then yeah, go for it. Because that's still pretty, get 2 2020 seconds. Oftentimes they end up as good as a late first. So I think I might consider doing that. Yes. Especially the more I read about this class. I'm still learning dynasty, so take this with a grain of salt. But the more I read about this class, it's like there's not all that much depth or not all that much to it, even at the top. So, to get a win now guy like AB, if your team's in great shape, plus a few guys, like it sounds like those 2022 seconds might be as good as the firsts, if it's a later first at least. What up, Mitch? Great to see you. I hope you had a blast at that game. What a game it was to see week 1, Mitch. I'm pumped that you got such an awesome effort from your Chiefs there. What up, Jack? Let's go. Love it. So far, so good. Nothing but respect for everything you do. My man, I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in and giving you your kind words. It means the world, guys. I really do appreciate it. Omar, who do you have higher between Saints and Cardinals? I had Saints a little bit higher, Omar, but it's a toss-up, right? That defense is always a crapshoot, and the Saints, the Cardinals really could get after that passer. I think a lot of that was, the Titans just left tackle getting destroyed, but Taylor Lewan's supposed to be one of the better left tackles in the league. So it could easily happen again. I just loved how that Saints D looked, and I don't believe in this Carolina offense yet. Hope Najee gets things into gear. I think he will. That volume typically pans out. I don't know. He didn't pop off the page as much as I thought he would. It looked a little bit plotty. The volume's great. The offense should be pretty good all year. The talent didn't seem like anything special, unfortunately, and I thought it would. He did in college. When do you think Justin Fields might see playing time, says Moreno? Who knows, right? I have no clue. They seem so committed to Andy Dalton, but if Andy Dalton craps himself against this Cincy defense, like he should, against this revenge game, have a great game. I think it could be as early as this week, though, at halftime. As bad as Andy Dalton looked, I think he's going to suck, and I think he's going to get benched at halftime this week. That's my guess right now. Will this be available on audio? So you're able to watch today, but could I listen to a future show? Yep, this will be one of them. And I'm going to release a graphic today, Motor City, on my Twitter and across our Instagram, where I'll post our show schedule, which ones will be available next day as pods, things of that nature. This will be one of them, though, that should be available in the morning as a podcast. Yes, but I'm glad you were able to be here. What's up, twin? I have to start. Are you a twin Calabria? I'm a twin myself. I have to start Jacobs, Barkley realistically this coming week. I would go with Jacobs. I don't want Barkley. Jacobs out there. Yeah, I don't think Jacobs is going to be out. I can't trust Barkley right now. If worst case Jacobs is out, we'll go with a flyer like James White, JJ Taylor. We'll find something. A podcast on demand. Yes, we'll have podcasts for this show at least. Not every show we do. I do my waiver wire show, Motor City, on Tuesday nights. Like that's not going to be valuable, Wednesday morning anymore. So that's when you'll have to get there live for it. But all the shows, again, just to kind of remind you guys, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11 a.m. Sunday, and 7:30 on Sunday is our show schedule. Might even sneak in a DFS show every now and again on Saturdays, but might also sleep in every now and again. We're crazy this year, so crazy school year. Might need to take the DFS show off. We'll see. Running a wishbone. What other two would you go with? Eckler, Henderson. I love that, Mike Clay. By the way, Eckler, Henderson, J-Rob, Tyson, Mitchell, Javante. I think this week I'm going Eckler and Henderson as the locks, and then it comes down to Tyson and Mitchell for me. I'm leaning. I really like what Tyson did. I think as long as he gets that first crack again, he's the better option this week and just moving forward. I am nervous about what Mitchell does. My computer's about to die, folks. Let me get my charger. Did not expect this to go as long as it is, and I love that it is because that means you guys are bringing the heat with the questions. Thankfully, that did not crash to the floor. Those hands, those mitts. Let's get this going. Oh, man. These are the sacrifices the Wolf makes for his crew, his pack. But no, I would personally there, Mike Clay, go for Eckler, Henderson, and Tyson. Our Lat Murray take his Lat Murray? No, I don't think he takes it over. I think Tyson's much better. I did not skip over it, Matt. You must have just dipped out on me. I told you, I think he, as I said earlier, top 15 fantasy-wise, I think he can kind of get it done with anybody. Let me just make sure that's plugged in. He's proven to be QB-proof. I don't think Heineke's the worst QB he's gotten it done with, so I'm not overly concerned. No, he averaged less than 3 yards per carry. I don't know who you're talking about there, but doesn't sound good. Schnall had an ice-cold average distance ADOT with something like 2.7. That's a great point, Motor City. And yeah, I think it's that's kind of how his role is going to be. And he's going to get peppered in that sense. So full PPR shouldn't be bad. But those long ball touchdowns, you saw what Jones Shark did. I think it's going to lower Laviska's ceiling if he's not going deep at all, and getting backfield touches too. I agree with the take on Tyson. Looked much better than Latavius. I'm with you. I don't know. I think it was the issue. He had that pass protection, and then we didn't see him much. I think that was kind of sending a message here after he's already shown a good day. I think they're going to go to him first again. But it is a little nerve-wracking to see that happen. No doubt about it. All righty, where are we at? Omar. My choices are Sutton, Ham, Hawkinson, and Elijah Mitchell for some context. Full PPR. Are we just picking one of these guys? I'd go Hawkinson. I mean, honestly, this guy's going to be peppered week in and week out in full PPR. I think I'm leaning there. You're thinking I need to move Gibson up to RB5, 25 opportunities, says Forrest. Maybe. I love the usage this week, but I think the Giants are a little bit of a better defense than people give them credit for. And it's more so, okay, so who am I moving him above here? Let me give you my top 5, Forrest, right? Christian McCaffrey, no. Cook, no. Kamara, no. Henry, no. Chubb, not doing it. So there's my top 5. Not moving above any of those guys. So, maybe Aaron Jones, maybe Mixon, but no. I like Gibson. It's less about not liking Gibson. Maybe I can bump him above Eckler, maybe above Taylor. I think 8's the highest I would go. He's not going above Mixon, Aaron Jones against Detroit, Chubb, Henry, Kamara, Cook, or McCaffrey for me. So 8's the highest I might consider there, Forrest. Todd, what's up, Mr. Exotic? Great to see you. Need some flex advice for half PPR leagues. Davis, Jarvis, or Jamal? Much love from the PNW. Great to see you, my dude Todd. And I would lean Jarvis here. No Odell, already been ruled out for the week. So I would go Jarvis, especially with the half PPR getting some of those reception points, which I like to see. So give me that effort. Give me that option there as well. Again, folks, just that thumbs up. Help us get out to more people. YouTube, Facebook, Periscope would be greatly appreciated. Love all the interaction, all the comments so far. Keep them coming, guys. Flex this week, Tunyon, Mitchell, Gaskin. Not going to be Tunyon for a flex. Edmonds, Sutton, Lat Murray. You got some great options there, William. I think early on, I'm going to lean, especially if it's full PPR, Sutton. But if it's like half, maybe Edmonds. I like the matchup for Edmonds. I do. Dropped Lat Murray for E. Mitchell. I think the move. I think it's riskier. I think Murray's going to have a steadier role potentially. But if Mitchell's the guy, like he'll be the league winner of the year in that Shanahan scheme. Is Gaskin or Edmonds for Chase a good trade? Have Gibson, Eckler, Gaskin, Edmonds, Mitchell. Yes, I would do either of those guys. You have some pretty good. It's rare to have that good of running back depth. And based on your receivers, like Chase is immediate upside wide receiver 3 for you there, William. And just a reminder too, guys, I see a lot of new names in here. If you're liking the content, you're enjoying the questions being answered, sub to us, please. Put on that bell for your notifications so you know when we're going live. Like I said, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Thursday. We'll answer your questions at the end of every show. And then also Sunday mornings it starts, weekly recap show. But if you like what you're seeing, again, thumbs up would really help us in this show, get out to more people, but also subscriptions, put on the bell so we can continue to grow that audience and share us with anybody you might not be in leagues with. You can put me over the top and I still have, I still have that many firsts. J-Rock, you're in good shape. I would probably do that move. Some guy turned down my Tyson for his Logan Thomas. I mean, what could I say? I would probably do that deal if I was him, but it's also not a lock that Tyson's a great option all year. It looked good, should be good, but he got also benched right away. So, like, with that type of depth, I would want to make a deal if I was him, yes, but it's not, especially with his running back team. So, yeah, I get what you're saying, Mr. Grapefruit. But, Logan Thomas is a pretty sure thing. Maybe you have to go for Jonnu in that case. Juju or Christian Kirk for a flex? I like True. That's a good one. Like Juju's safer, no doubt about that. Tubb and Steele, but Kirk looked real sexy this week, and I saw a lot of people complaining that he had like only slot snaps, but I kind of like that. Like he was going deep, 12 yards average depth of target. Wide receiver 8 this last week. I liked that. I do think Juju's a little safer, a little steadier. 8 targets, but a little like less exciting. I don't know, Tubb and Steele. It depends. It really depends. Mike likes this format. Good to know it. I'll continue this way Wednesday. I'll have the rankings up early Wednesday morning, maybe even late Tuesday, but I'll do this breakdown. Michael Carter have any shot? Maybe Z-balls, but not a guy I must hold by any means. I think you're right. Barkley back-to-back games, so close, destined for sadness. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm with you. I think so. I'm worried about that twin Calibre. I think eventually he'll get those legs under him, but I'll probably be on my bench for the game he does, and I'll be pissed. Actually, he's not really on any of my benches because I just don't own him this year. I thought it was the biggest risk. I couldn't do it. Dan Courtney, you're the best. Don't burn yourself out on all this. I won't. Don't you worry, Dan. Keep interacting with the people. So I appreciate that. I enjoy it. Todd Exotic, care less about show format, whatever you do. Just keep the trash talking to a maximum. I love it, Todd. Great stuff. You're the type of fan that we love to do this with. Just got offered Najee for Gaskin and Chase. Do I take it? I would. Depends on your depth. Your trade questions are always so tricky to evaluate. I think I prefer the Chase Gaskin side, though. I really believe in Chase. Mitch about Latavius. Yeah, under 3 yards of carry. Exactly. Thank you for the context, Mike. Roman was seeing what he had his backs. And I think that cost him the game, by the way. They were so much more pop to that offense when they had Tyson in there. I think that's going to go a long way. And I think Tyson furthers the gap, too. I'm with you 100%. Dang, I seem to have missed everything. Well, you can always rewatch it, Francisco. I appreciate you being here regardless. Who should I flex half PPR? Latavius, Davis, Jacoby, Callaway, or Kirk? I'm going to go with It comes down to Callaway or Jacoby or Kirk for me. I like all those options. I'm leaning Jacoby, though. At New York, I think he's going to destroy those guys. So I'm going to go there. Let's get those subs up. I'm about to make some burners. Yeah, please do, man. Pods get you through the work week. I love it, Omar. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for the help. New to fantasy football. I'm so happy, man. Dropped a like and sub. Great. I appreciate it, Will. We're pumped to have you around. Happy to answer all your questions throughout the year. Making a lot of trades. The key is to beat the content, just like the key is to beat them to the waiver wire. Absolutely. That's why we do our Sunday night waiver wire. Get to those guys early, brother. Burrows was leading the league in completions on a per-game basis before his ACL tear. Chase Higgins, Boyd, all Gucci. I'm with you, Forrest. Just a little bit worried about Boyd being the odd man out there, but I do think this offense, the most pass attempts in the league, especially for a rookie, I'm with you there. 9 targets for Jacoby and Chenault. Don't chase the points. Hit like for the Wolf. I appreciate that. And good points all around there, especially for Jacoby. I'm a big fan of. Nobody picked up Mark Ingram in our standard league. 26 carries is even startable. I mean, if you're struggling, go for it. But I don't think that's going to happen every week. Certainly not. That was the ultimate game script for him. But if you're that desperate, if he's sitting out there, then pluck him. He's a running back getting volume. So, if that's what you need, go for it. Should I trade Logan Thomas? Last 2 here for Schneider and William that I'm signing off. Logan Thomas for a running back. I have Hawkinson and have Cook and Davis. I'd try to upgrade Davis for sure. I would. So I could probably move Logan Thomas. You're not going to start him with Hawkinson. So Logan Thomas and Davis and get yourself a big upgrade at RB2. I would like something like that, Schneider. Yes. And who do you say you prefer? Gaskin or Edmonds for Chase? Who would I trade? I would trade either. I'd probably move Gaskin first of the 2. Last one. You like Chase or Devonta better this week? I like Chase better this week, Omar. I do. Good night, Wolf. Sleep like a gladiator tonight. I sure will. I'm pretty damn tired for us, so I absolutely will. As always, you're the man, Wolf. Looking forward to tomorrow. Absolutely. The truth will be back with me tomorrow. I love it, guys. Thank you again so much for your support. All right, I'll get one in for you. This last one. I got Swift, Alvin, Robbie, A-Rob, Waddle, Michael Carter, Javonte Williams. Do I make a trade for Najee? Tough call. I would say, where did it go? I don't even remember what the trade is. You're getting Gaskin and Chase for your Najee. I think you could use a more steady wide receiver. I don't know. I kind of want to see what Najee does before I make any moves there. Thanks again so much, Wolfpack. I really appreciate you guys being here, interacting, especially on YouTube, as we continue to grow the audience over there. It's awesome. We'll be live again 7 p.m. tomorrow with the Truth, your Week 2 preview show, higher, lower, Hail Marys, positional previews, what we're watching, and then answering all your questions yet again leading up till kickoff. Best of luck again in Week 2, guys. In a world full of fantasy sheep, be that wolf. RoseReedJournal.com. We breed and feed you. Later, guys.